If I ran a private equity firm, here's exactly what I do to find new opportunities to purchase new portfolio companies on LinkedIn. The learnings in this video are taken from sending over 2 million LinkedIn DMs to basically every type of B2B industry, understanding what campaigns work and don't work. So if you're looking to set up a campaign for your PE firm and you don't want to waste lots of time annoying people on LinkedIn, just follow what it says in this video and you'll get new opportunities coming to you every week. From chatting to a couple of principals and teams at private equity firms, the main struggle that they have is that the only easy way they can find new deals is basically going to business brokers or, to founders who've already shipped the idea to everybody else in the industry, so they're competing. The key really is to try and find off-market deals, fresh off-market deals. But the thing with those is you can't tell who's ready to sell just by typing in on LinkedIn. Nothing on a company's file or what they put on LinkedIn generally is going to tell you directly if they're definitely going to sell right now or in the next couple of years. The three ways that people try are usually through banked auctions, their network, or sourcing software. Honestly, none of them are very good. So with the banked auctions, you might have 100 to 300 buyers you're competing against. You're not going to get a good deal. The network, again, these are just people who you know, who might know someone. They're brilliant when they come through. And if you have, a number of people on the ground looking for deals like this all the time, it can definitely work, but it's not super scalable. And then there's like sourcing software, but again, dozens or hundreds of other people are looking at the same things there, so there's no edge for you. My recommendation is just play the long game. Start early. I guess you're going to be in this firm for the next 5 to 10 years anyway. And if you start planting all the right seeds now, they're going to start coming through in 6, 12, 18, 24 months. Now I'm just going to walk you through that process, what to do for the next 6 months so that you can start planting all the seeds and finding people who are going to be looking to sell in 2 and 3 and 4 years and starting conversations with them now before all the rest of the market. So you want to start with profiling. You can't say with 100% certainty unless they've already gone up online, in which case the ship has sailed. But you can do some profiling to get timing on your side. So for example, if you're looking at people who are 55 years old, they've been in the business for 30 years, they just moved to chairperson, there's kind of signals there saying that they're going to make a move at some point in the next period of time. Maybe not right now, but it suggests that there's a higher percentage chance that you should reach out to them rather than a 20-year-old founder of a marketing agency. You can just use information that's available on LinkedIn to do this. So it's like owner age and tenure. They just hired their first CEO or they just started building out the C-suite. They're building out second-tier management to try and fill in and take off some of the hats that they've been wearing for the last 20 years. They've just got an advisory board. An adjacent firm just exited, so it's going to be on the mind. When you start to look at signals like this, it can be hard to scrape at scale. But all this information is available. When you pull it all together, you can start to understand the story of what might be going on so that you can get the timing right of who to reach out to and when. Just because I'm saying profile to everyone who's 55 and been in a business for 30 years, that doesn't mean you should hammer them all with messages tomorrow. What it does mean is they're in the initial group that you want to look at. Then you want to look a bit deeper and see what the story might be behind the company and what signals are being put out to suggest that they're even more likely to be doing it now. But even then, if someone who's been in a business for 30 years like this, they still have to trust you. At the end of the day, you're purchasing their firm, or their business, whatever it is. It's their baby. They want to make sure they're giving it over to the right person. So the first impression that you make is super important. So 31% of engagements on LinkedIn or anywhere end with no transaction because of valuations or mistrust or whatever it is. Just starting the conversation isn't enough. But you do need to make sure that you start on the right footing. And this can be done by basically just showing them your track record and getting it in front of them, reaching out and saying, we've been in the business for 20 years, we've done this and this and this. Tell the stories of the previous portfolio businesses that you have, how you helped people just like them exit in a certain way, how it ended up for the business, how it ended up for the customers. You have to get really good at telling these stories because people are going to buy into stories. And if you've been running this firm for a period of time and you have companies in your portfolio, the great thing is all that information is there. You just have to dig it up and show people it. So just think about this. Look at your past client list. How did you get in contact with them? How did you bring them into the portfolio? What happened to their clients? What happened to their business afterwards? why was it a safe exit? What's your relationship like with them now? These might seem like small things, but if you put yourself in the shoes of the person who's selling, things like this are huge. Like, how are their customers going to be dealt with is a massive one. So you have to provide insurance around that. And once you have the story, the targeting, the signal, and you kind of understand where they're probably going to be, you've got a profile and a bunch of people showing signs that it might be a good time to reach out to them, you can use a message like this. So again, very straightforward. You need to fill in the placeholders to suit your specific campaign, but it's, hey, first name, we just did some work with another business helping them to outcome. So again, if you're buying a manufacturing business, you probably want to explain how they are a manufacturing business and what outcomes were driven off the back of that. And then you want to say something like, I put together a short blog post explaining how the process worked, so you could do the same. If outcome is on your list, can I share this with you? So it might be, if an exit is on your list in the next period of time, can I share it with you? All you're doing here is just getting them to potentially say yes to the blog post, which then signals other things, but you're not trying to close the deal at this point, or you're not being super pushy. But we are understanding, okay, yes, they want to learn more about the exit that we helped another client make. So let's look at a more specific example here. So founder-led or family-owned, 20 to 250 staff. They've been trading for 15 years. They've never been institutionally owned. It's always been them. So there's probably some distrust there. And if it's a family business specifically, they're going to be wanting to make sure that the transition is smooth. They just hired their first CFO and their first GM. And again, they've been in the business for over 20 years, and these hires are kind of telling that there's something different happening. So we might want to reach out and say, hey, name, we just bought another vertical business, again, manufacturing. The specificity is important. You could say location here as well. So we just bought another, Richmond, Victoria based bakery into the portfolio, and we helped the founder step back without disrupting a single client relationship. So again, that's probably the thing that is going to get them the most interest. That's what your duty of care is, and that's what you're thinking about at this point. I put together a short write-up of how the handover actually worked. If an exit is something you'll look at in the next few years, can I share it with you? The write-up, ideally you've pre-created it so you can just send out messages like this, and then when you get a yes, you can send them straight away and you can be prompt with that answer. And you kind of want them to just think, sure, why not? Of course I would want to read that. And then that opens it up to the next phase. Once you get a yes, just give them a call. It's pretty easy to get people's numbers online these days. And if they put their hand up to say they're interested, you could just call them and say something like, hey, name, this is Colin. If it was me, I just sent you a guide on LinkedIn earlier explaining how we helped another bakery exit. I thought it'd be easier to just speak over the phone rather than typing on LinkedIn. Are you free now for 10 minutes to chat? Nice and easy, nice and personable, nice and smooth, but a really good way to get people on the phone, because usually the PE people I've spoken to in the past, they're always saying leads are the issue. Once I get a deal going, I can talk my way through it. But this is the bridge between that and how you get those conversations started. So just to recap, you get the targeting right, understand the signals from that, the profile, and then you can tell the story. You know roughly who you're speaking to. The message writes itself. You offer something of value up front that they can easily relate to, not with jargon or nonsense or returns. It's just more a relatable story that will allow them to take their guard down and start the conversation. Once you get a yes, once they raise a hand, you give them a call, and then the process starts from there. That's what you're good at. So I don't need to tell you how to do all that. And that's it. You've started the conversation. The first impression is, I'm not going to say it's everything, but it's a big part of it. You're in the conversation before it. So now you've planted the seed about selling. Maybe they don't need to go to the brokers. Maybe they don't need to go to the other sites now because they have someone that they trust. And maybe they won't move for 6 months, 12 months, a year. But now you have that relationship and the start of it and the contact established. So you can be the advisor up until the point where that deal happens. Thanks for watching. Hope you find this useful. If you want some more information on the frameworks, tools, and systems we use to get clients for our clients on LinkedIn, there should be a link below this video wherever you're watching it. See you on the next one.